My name's Lyle Chan. I have the great fortune of being the artistic director of Artology Remix. I would like to acknowledge the amazing genre leaders that led this young team through the show, the building of this incredible show over 15 days. I'd like them to stand up, please, wherever you are, be acknowledged. Deepest gratitude to all of you. Now, after seeing a thought-provoking show like that, the first thing I have is questions. So I thought you might enjoy a session of Q&A with the young artists, who have actually put all their brains together and all their physical and mental energy into creating such a wonderful show. I thought if we could just perhaps sit down into a semicircle and we'd open the floor to a chat with the audience members. We see everybody? Great. Come closer. So the floor is over to audience members. You've seen the show now. We'd love to have your feedback. This is an incredible piece of writing and performance from such young people. Anybody would like to open with a comment or questions? They have so much to tell you. Yes, in fact.
You've done much of that before, because that was amazing.
Oh, with the filming thing? No. I learned that on Thursday. Oh, thank you. Appreciate
that. You'll see that being a recurring theme, that a lot of the kids learn for the first time to do something that you saw them do today. So it's a tribute to how courageous and quick they are. Next comment or question?
I was going to say, where did the idea of creating the cinematic and the live action sort of come from, and what was your purpose behind doing that?
Who would love to answer that question?
I guess part of it was the way that Frankenstein, the book, describes the horror of the monster being through the fact that he first sees his eyes. That's kind of the moment that it turns for him. Until then, he is all set on making this monster and making this creation come alive. But when it opens his eyes and he sees these yellow watery eyes as it's described, that's when he starts to be turned away from his creature. So I think a lot of this visual idea of seeing something, observing something came from that.
And I'll also throw in there just the amazing Freddie Comp, our multimedia.
We just heard from Darcy Grant, the director of the show.
It's also a bit symbolic because it's like, sort of stitching together of genres to make one big show. Yes.
A monster of a show.
I know it started with an idea that you all came together with this particular idea and you created this extraordinary performance out of it. I just wanted to have a sense of, did you have any thoughts about where this was going to lead you? What's surprised you about the process, or what has there been anything that's particularly stuck out to you? But it was extraordinary what you have achieved. I'd just love to get a sense of how you felt about it.
Just, I guess, how abstract you're supposed to be thinking.
I was surprised in particular how because we were all trying to cater for everything that everyone could do in this piece, because there's, wonderful opera, there's acting, there's multimedia, oh my god, yeah, there's a lot, okay? What we were aiming for was to try to get everyone to have a moment, and just for it to flow, keep it stitched together. and stitched together.
Actually saying that, we've actually done stuff that we've never done before. Like me, this was the first time I've ever acted or did theatre work or anything like that. I've always just stuck with art, and this has been the greatest experience for me. It's opened my mind up a lot to the theatre world, and it's quite wonderful to actually step back and watch this production, because I've done that so many times, just sit out and just watch it, and it's amazing to see. So,
And usually when you can't really expose these kind of ideas to the world, so they're kind of just bottled up in your brain, but this is a place where you can just let it explode and just give it your all.
It's great.
We should stress that everything you saw and heard and smelt and felt and here was created by these young artists. You might have noticed that in that room over there is actually their creation of Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory. You saw projections of it on the wall, but all that was painstakingly made in that little room. So everything you heard, saw, and felt was made over 15 days by these kids. Someone else want to make a comment or a question? Over there? Yes.
I was going to say, one of the things about just kind of co-creative work and work that involves a lot of input from a lot of different people with a range of experiences and backgrounds is that I feel like working with this group of young artists has been so exciting, mainly because of the deeply collaborative and respectful approach that they've all taken to each other's work. So whether it is scoring a duet for someone, whether it is writing lyrics for a little group choir piece, or putting together soundscapes. I mean, they created the audio soundscapes and the recordings. Putting all of that work together has been done in an incredibly respectful and professional manner, which is one of the things that I think has really struck me about this group of young people, just the respect that they have paid each other in contributing work collaboratively, which is often quite an intimidating place to work at. So it's been a real thrill.
I know. We adults have been commenting on that as well. Like we're a little bit, flabbergasted at the amount of talent just seething out of this mass. It's been quite confronting for us because, speaking for me personally, your ideas can be quite demanding, but because we adults sometimes we've worked in the field for so long and we know the obstacles that have to be overcome in order to achieve an idea. Sometimes we self-censor, we don't even bring the idea up, knowing how hard it is to fulfill. You guys don't do that, so you push us to actually make it happen. I mean, the amount of technical stuff that had to be done for today was quite mind-blowing.
It's very complex, and I think following up on what you said, it's the sort of thing I would like to see again. I think the audience probably can't be just as good.
We have a 6 p.m. show.
Just a quick question, please. Have you guys ever thought about either sharing this with high schools and primary schools or touring it further? Because I remember it's beautiful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for sharing your talent. But have you guys ever thought about maybe?
we actually hope to do that. So we tried our hardest to create the best show that we could, so that we can get people to actually tell us that they want to see us to do it again, because we need them to see if they like it enough for us to actually perform it to people. So we're kind of looking for reassurance, I guess.
Yeah, because I believe in your program, and I so believe in the show that you guys have just presented, and it's a wonderful piece, and I wish all my friends would see it. Stay on the ground.
Don't tell me you're coming for the 6 p.m. show. Thank you for saying that you think it could endure and could go on tour, because that is part of the intention of having so many people come together to create a work. One of the intentions behind Artology Remix is to give kids not just a chance to actually have a stab at professional experience, because throughout these 15 days they've been treated exactly like professionals, exactly. And we want to give them a taste of success as a professional. So if this show gets bought by a festival or by a presenter and it goes into the next stage of having a season, that is the intention. And if you guys have an experience of a successful professional artist, that would actually set you up really well for the future. So if you can encourage anybody to come by the show, it's pretty amazing.
Sorry. What was the most challenging persons that
so long to do a show, so.
Doing the scene in 10 different ways. It was the most annoying. It kept changing each time, either getting smaller or bigger, more abstract. And every time I learned something, I had to do a new thing. It was kind of like, but it was exciting because you get to try and use stuff and everything. So, yes.
Yeah, definitely. I have to say one of the most challenging things as well is the fact that this was not so much a polished performance. A lot of it was authentic and sincere in the movements we did, in the things we say, because we haven't made it mechanical and done it 1,000 times. We literally finished making it today. We only have like a potato last and that's what made it amazing, I think, is the fact that we could get out there still with confidence.
Definitely we changed the scene this morning.
Yeah.
11:30, 11:30.
It's such a big book, and to get the right message across was very difficult because there's so many characters, so many events, so many different things. It really came down to us and phrase stories. What do you want to tell the audience?
It was hard just not to give into the cliche of, you know, a horror story, you know, the monster that's just like, you know, that not to really convey the underlying messages of the actual text.
Thank you.
So on the summarising of such a big book with so many things, how much of the text was devised and how much of the text was split?
My monologue had little bits. It was the description of the monster, but we cut it down, we re-collaborated it, made it pretty. So, yes. I think a lot of the dialogue, we originally started off with having blocks of text from the book, and we were just going to be like, okay, this person reads this bit out, but then as it went through, it got changed and manipulated according to the movements that were happening, and so for the end product, I don't think any of the dialogue is taken directly from the book, but the ideas behind a certain chapter or the creation of the monster, the description is the same, but it's not word for word, so we've kind of manipulated things. And so,
yeah, we had like a writing team that would have the script and then basically just take the important meanings like
One of the things for me, excuse me if I lost my voice, but one of the amazing things for me was the way that you were able to deal with those issues and the intellectual things, as well as being very visceral at the same time. The feeling of it, the feeling of that body being part of what we were in was useless to me. Where did that come from?
We didn't really have, okay, we have to write a script. It was basically, we came in and our genre leaders gave us heaps of different tasks to do, both physical and from writing aspects. And I think for the monster, the visual, we just played around with so many ways of creating the monster without a cliche kind of the Frankenstein mask that everyone knows from like the Halloween costumes. And from that physical theatre, we kind of came up with the idea that maybe we ourselves can make the monster to both represent that we are the monster, but also have a physical monster. And then I think from there, we just looked at how we could manipulate and use the different layers of multimedia, music and sound to create that mood and atmosphere of the monster without it being the cliche, like horror scary.
It wasn't all of it, though. Good.
I just wanted to pipe in there at that point, and reflecting on it, I think this was really a process that was limit-based, wasn't it? There was so many we had a short time frame and a few lights and a few different things and not much time to get it done. So we all really used the limits that we had really well to kind of, and I think there was something actually that we stumbled upon in this process compared to a normal process where you would often have the design done, then you have the rehearsal period, then you have the rehearsals into the show block. Having to do them simultaneously meant that everything cross-pollinated as we went. So having topographic cameras, for instance, how many versions of monsters on the floor have we made? So many. But it wasn't really until we switched on the lights and saw the level that we could, get the camera and threading through a few effects through the thing, could we actually decide on what was right for this space under these conditions. And I think that was really showed in the show for me anyway, that you guys fitted so well together into this space, and every choice that you made was so deliberate. And it was really based on the fact that we didn't have a lot of options. So it's funny, creativity can come from not having many options, which is really good.
Any hands up that I can't see?
Oh, wait, I want to ask you guys something.
Yes, do.
Okay, yeah, I'm mixing it up, guys. I want to know what kind of message you guys got from what we created, because it's so abstract and it can have so many messages from it.
Just like the underlying message. What did you take from it?
Sometimes it requires a quiet reflection after something that's affected you really on a cellular level to go away and have to think about it and go, so quietness does not mean nothing necessarily.
I thought that Dr. Frankenstein thought he was doing the right thing. I felt that it was very, that he really believed in what he was doing.
Also, that it didn't make judgment values of what it Right.
Well, I have never thought of our monster as being a neglected soul. In that sense, that it's like, the parent that neglects a child and then they become a monster. I've never actually given it that thought. So I got that thought out of it, that the child was neglected by his maker.
Yeah. I'm sorry.